and I like to share it with as many people as I possibly can so that they can find it and discover it for themselves. But one of the questions I get more than almost any other question by the forum and the website is from women who are concerned for their safety. We've been so inundated with fear all of our lives that you think, if I step one foot out of my house or out of the city and I go live in a van, certainly I'm going to be hurt or harmed. And I've been doing this long enough now to know that really isn't true. This is going to be very safe. But how do I communicate that to you? I'm a man, and so I don't have the same fears and concerns that a woman has, and rightfully so. It is a dangerous world we live in. So I've gathered today a group of women that we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to let the women, and they've all been doing this at least 2 years, and I'm going to let them answer your questions and tell you this is a safe and wonderful life, and you can have it if you want it. Here we have Sherry and Pish and Gloria. So why don't we just start with you, Sherry, and why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little in your own words how you ended up out here and how you like this life.
I love this life. I'm Sherry. I'm also known as Grandma Hug-A-Baby. I retired in 2008, sat around too long. 2009, I got into a little Dodge Caravan, took off for 3-4 months, and just traveled. Every place that said scenic highway, I took it. And it was awesome, but I decided I had to have a bigger van. So I have a big high-top van, and this is the best life.
And Pish, tell us a little about yourself and how you got started doing this.
Well, my name's Pish, and I started in the end of 2009, and I had moved to a house a year before that, and it was a wonderful little house, and I had all kinds of dreams for it, and after a year I'd done nothing to go towards those dreams. And I just got in my car one day, threw a pillow in and some blankets and took off. And for a month and a half I lived in my Camry, out of my Camry. And as I went from Kentucky to the East Coast and then down the coast, I realized how little I needed. And I realized that if I didn't have a mortgage, I could live anywhere I wanted, go from little hotel kitchenette to hotel kitchenette. And then as I traveled further, I evolved the idea to get an RV. And I started out in a Class C, a 19-foot Class C. And now I'm in a 17-foot casita trailer. And it's been 6 years and I'm still doing it. And I actually just now feel like I've hit my stride. And I'm doing it the way I really want to be doing it.
Great. Okay, let's talk to Gloria now. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up on the road.
Yeah, so back in 2011, I had been looking at tiny houses on wheels, but I found vandwelling online and looked at it at first and was like, nah, I can't live in such a small space. But after a while, I began to get really itchy feet. I was a motel manager, and the job just didn't suit my personality. I was living there, it was overwhelming, and I needed to get out fast. And so I read your book, Bob, and was sold after I read that book. And then, of course, I shortly contacted you and got on the road 6 months later, found a van, and I didn't feel afraid. I just had this strong inclination to just go, just move forward. So stopped at my parents' house for 3 months and then joined you and the crew in Prescott.
Yep. So a lot of people are forced into living in a van by economics, and so for each of you, it was a choice. This is a better life, and that's why I'm doing it.
But if you're forced into something, this is a really good way of doing it.
So it's not only very economical, but it's also a wonderful way of life.
Yeah.
And you've all found that?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
So if money today weren't an issue, you would continue to live the life you're living?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Good.
Exactly.
No doubt.
I can't imagine a different way. I might travel a little more. Other than that, I can't think of anything I would change at this point.
I might visit more things that cost money,
Right.
maybe.
Right. So our economic we don't travel quite as much or see as much, but it's still a wonderful, wonderful life. Living within, probably for most of us, a fairly small budget.
Yes, very small.
So what would you say, you obviously you love the life and you wouldn't change it, what would you say is the best thing about it?
Freedom.
Freedom?
I just feel so free. Free to go and do what I want, when I want, where I want, almost where I want, how I want.
Following the sun. I have arthritis in my hands. I get into the cold, wet weather. Down here, I don't hurt.
I didn't ask you this beforehand, but would you mind telling us your age? Sometimes that's an issue.
Yeah, I don't care.
I'm proud of my age. Go for it.
42.
42,
I'm 59.
59,
I'm 70.
70. So really a real gamut of ranges of ages here. So have you found a difference between the RVing community and the van dwelling community?
Oh yeah,
Big difference?
big difference. Big difference. The ones who need to hook up and stuff and have those great big RVs, not all of them look down on us, but most of them look at us the way we might look at the person living under the bridge. There is a world of difference.
Any other thoughts?
I call them weekend warriors. And there's this mentality, this mindset that they're in. They have a finite amount of time to live this way, so they cram everything into this proscribed weekend or a few days throughout the week, whatever it might be. And plus they also bring all of their toys that when they say they want to get away from everything, they bring it all to the park or the camp.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed in Lincoln City, Oregon, and kept to myself and found my little curve with my little tree that I hid behind. And I mean, I did make some friends there. They lived in a big RV, and they were very kind to me.
But the fact is, those RV parks are really good for those people
Right.
who want to live that way.
And it's important that we see that it's not right or wrong.
It's
One is a right,
never
one's
wrong.
wrong. It's just very different. So, but while you were just thinking about it, you had just discovered it, however, on the internet, or while you were out driving, you thought, I could live this way, Pish. Were you worried about your safety then, when you first started to think about, I could do this?
I can't say that I was unconcerned about it, even though I had a destination and I was headed for your camp. You know, I thought about whether I should learn to shoot a gun or have a gun. I still have mixed feelings about that. I just settled on this little thing of mace I carry around and my dog.
And all three of you have dogs.
Yes.
And so you've all found that a dog was not just good, really wonderful companion, but a safety addition as well.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Pish, any thoughts on, were you afraid for safety before? Was that an issue to you?
When I lived in my house, yes.
Yeah, and getting ready to go.
No, it was not. And actually, I had an incident that happened when I was in my house that caused me to be fearful. And I was experiencing a lot of confusion and going, oh my God, what do? I don't know what to do. I'm very confused. And one of the things I noticed as I was driving, I lived in a house where I locked my doors, I locked my windows, I had an alarm system on the house. How safe did I feel there? And I realized safety is an illusion.
That isn't how you wanted to live the last of your life. It huddled in fear in your little fortress.
No.
I don't remember, because I lived in Astoria, Oregon, there's no crime there. Although there's always somebody that's out to hurt somebody for any reason, like you said. But I don't remember being a terribly afraid person anyway. But I'm very, very careful. If I drive into an area in my van and I don't feel right, if the hairs on the back of my neck or on my arm stand up, and I've done this in a couple of campgrounds when I was doing campgrounds, drive through and there's just an odd feeling, I can just keep right on going until I find a place to stop.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about the safety precautions of having dogs and your can of mace, Gloria. So are there any safety precautions and following your instincts? That would be a really a good one. So any other safety precautions that you take to maintain your safety? Start with you, Pish.
Oh, I have a can of wasp spray and a can of mace, and I have 3 dogs, and I also am a big believer in what I project will come back to me, and I just refuse to project fear. And I have to say too, the longer I'm on the road, the more confident I am, because I look at all the things I've done and go, wow, I'm badass. I can take care of myself.
I think one of the things I do to feel secure is at night, before I go to sleep, I have an exact spot for my keys. My pants are where I can get them on quickly. I can step out of bed, put my pants, grab my keys, step up there, turn it on, and go. I know exactly where my phone is at night.
So you have a few rituals, always knowing where your keys are, ready to drive away if you are worried, if that something says a bump in the night, says let's go. So that ritual helps you to be have to overcome any fear you may have.
Right. Although I've never had to get up and drive away in the night.
Right.
I just, it calms whatever fear or whatever, it just calms it. I know that I can go to sleep, because when we're sleeping is when we're most vulnerable.
Well, I think one of the most important things that anyone can understand is that fear is an ally. It is not an enemy. It's an ally to keep us safe. It's a gift from nature or God, and this is how you can stay safe. And if you embrace it and say, I'm going to use these fears to be safer by doing these things, you're all doing something to make yourself a little safer, following your gut instinct and being prepared for what might happen, and carrying mace and having dogs, not only embracing your fear but confronting it. And I'm going to get in that balloon. So you make fear an ally instead of an enemy. So any other things you do to make yourself more comfortable, less fearful, and embracing fear? Yeah.
I always lock my doors at night, definitely. No matter where I am, even in the most comfortable of camps.
I always lock mine also, even when I'm not around anybody. And another thing I do, and because I'm in a travel trailer, it's a bit different dynamic than in a Class C or a Class A. I can't just get in and drive away.
Right.
So I have my key fob, and if I hear anything that sounds suspicious, I can always press the alarm on my key fob for the truck.
Right.
So it will at least scare somebody. Whether it will deter anybody, I don't know.
I think my biggest fear is of my van breaking down or something. I think keeping your vehicle running as well as you possibly can, as well as you've got the money to, is a huge sense of security. Because if a vehicle breaks down, we're really at the mercy of wherever we are. So keeping that vehicle in good running shape is a great way.
Yes. Yeah. I think sure we can all agree with that. And so the bottom line is, you just all feel safe. If someone were to I'm sure you've had women say to you, let's just summarize with this. When a woman comes to you and says, boy, I'd love to do what you're doing, but I'm just so afraid. Gloria, what would you say to her then?
Well, I typically will tell people about your group, for example, and just say, get your feet wet. Come to a Rubber Tramp Rendezvous in January. Learn about the lifestyle and meet people and see their rigs. Take a weekend trip. Try it out.
Well, that's an excellent point. Just take a trip.
Yeah, I think immersion in a group. For me, just coming to camp with you guys for first few months on the road was just so key. Not that I don't think I could have done it
it just made the transition so much easier and quicker to meet up with people that were already veterans of the lifestyle, had been on the road for decades.
And I 100% agree, and I want to just reiterate again that that is why I have set up my life this way. In the winter, it's community. And so if you can plan ahead and join us in the winter and be in a group, that is by far the easiest possible way to get your feet wet and to get started. You're safe. You're going to be safe.
Maybe security's an inside job. You know, if I'm not feeling secure in an urban area where I live, maybe I won't feel secure anywhere.
Absolutely.
And I won't know until I try. And I actually discovered that I feel more secure not in an urban area.
Maybe John Kennedy said it best, the fear of the fear is the worst thing that can happen. And being paralyzed for the rest of your life, so you're in a rocking chair and watching TV by your fear, better to go out and get hurt than to my mind.
Yes, absolutely. I think so. Yes, and I think, I don't know if it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said or maybe Churchill, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
You're right. One of my favorite quotes of all time, and I probably can't get it exactly right. It goes something like, and it was a very well-known woman from the 30s, Anais Nin, said that, and the day came when the pain of staying tight in the bud became greater than the risk of blooming.
Yes.
And I love the imagery of that, just fighting blooming and becoming a gorgeous flower, because it's so scary. And so we're so locked up, and eventually that becomes so painful that we have to bloom and become the beautiful creature that nature and God intended us to be. And I just love that imagery, and I think that's exactly what you just said. Sherry, so one of your lady friends comes to you and says, "Oh, you're so brave. I'd love to do what you're doing. Can you give me some advice?"
Just try doing it. I threw the cot, I'm like Pish, I threw a cot into that van and a few clothes and went. I didn't even have a way to cook. I ate sandwiches. But I really believe, the three of us, all of us out here, we spend more time out here than we do in urban areas.
Right.
And I believe it's safer out here. The people who might hurt you are either the people who are you're closest to, that you need to get away from anyway, or the people that are in town looking for somebody to hurt, somebody to steal from, somebody to do damage to. I'm not sure that I would live really well in a van in town, and we have a lot of people that do it. A lot of people. I don't think my fears might become overwhelming.
So one final question. So none of you have run into roving bands of rapists and murderers while you've been out here. That would be a fair statement? No.
I have not.
So if that's
No,
somebody's
I'm not.
big fear, then you can assure them that's probably not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's
No.
just actually, it could happen any place,
Yes.
but no, it's not going to happen
Yeah.
out here.
It's extremely less likely out here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, ladies, thank you so much. I think you've really helped some people here, and I really appreciate you taking the time and opening your hearts up and letting us all in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
the opportunity.